I've owned my fair share of BMWs. In fact, I've driven a lot. Right now, a lot of you will know my current car is the M240i with the B58 engine. Now, before all of you B58 fanboys get really triggered and comment that I'm hating on the engine, this video isn't me hating. What we are doing today is I'm going to be ranking every BMW engine I have driven with a tier list. And you might want to stick around because I guarantee you this B58 isn't going to be where you think it's going to be. We're going to start this video off with the first BMW engine I have ever driven, and that was the N47 diesel 2-litre engine. Now, I'll be completely straight with you guys. It was good for economy. It was good because it had quite a bit of torque being a diesel, but it was a ticking time bomb. All I need to say is timing chain. You guys know the rest. And that leads us on to the big question. Where do I rank the N47 engine? Well, it's probably going to come to no surprise that I'm going to rate that engine in the E tier. So now that we know where that belongs, let's move on to the next engine. Now, as you would have noticed, from the N47, I've stepped up the game a little bit with the B58. However, moving on to the next car that I have personally driven, it's the 335i, and we all know what engine that car has in it. Now, the N54, BMW's first attempt at a twin turbocharged inline six. It was a bit of a monster back in the day. And I think BMW underestimated how good that engine was actually going to be because there were 335i's out there actually beating M cars. Now, the N54, it has a lot of potential. Being twin turboed, it's a really good engine. However, we all know it has its reliability issues, leaking parts, etc. We're not going to go into it. And it is a little bit of a shame that every single one I've driven in the UK has been a bit neglected, which is a little bit upsetting. And another thing that unfortunately lets it down, in my opinion, is the sound. It's not really the best sounding BMW engine, and for this, we're going to rank it in D tier. Now, the next two engines we're going to be talking about are the S58 and the S55. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm putting them in the same category. We'll get to that in just a second. The S55, found in the F series of the M3 and the M4 lineup, a very good engine. We're going to highlight some of its pros and some of its cons. Con number one, in my opinion, this is all based on, they sound terrible. Stock, absolutely awful. With a little bit of modification with the exhaust system, they can sound really good. The pros of it, it's an M engine, it's made by the M division, it's got really good power out of the box, tuning capabilities are huge. That's the S55 talked about. Now, the S58, you're probably wondering why I've put this in a similar area to the S55. Well, it follows on the same story with sound. In my opinion, again, with it being a twin turbocharged engine, they don't sound very good out of the box. Get an equal length exhaust or some sort of single turbo kit and they sound insane. And here's another thing you guys might have not have expected me to say. With the S58 platform being so new, and bear in mind that engine has insane capabilities, even just a single stage 1 remap, you can be pushing over 600 horsepower, which is just ridiculous. It follows on from the same engine in this car, the B58. And what's the problem with that? Plastic parts. The S58, an amazing engine, but it's going to be very similar to everything I've done on the B58. The S58, an amazing engine. We've already talked about the tuning capabilities. However, this B58 is somewhat similar to the S58. And the reason I have an issue with it is I've replaced a lot of plastic parts on this engine. Now, I'm not hating on the engine, I'm just highlighting real issues. Now, if you follow my TikTok or my Instagram, you would have noticed I've done quite a lot of work on this B58. The reason being is when these cars approach a certain age or also mileage, the plastic parts on these wear out, they crack, they become brittle, they leak. The S58 is going to be the same in about 5 to 7 years. We're going to see the same issues. So for this reason, this is why I'm ranking the S55 and also the S58 in C tier. So we're now approaching the final 2 tiers. You guys will have to comment down below where you've ranked everything so far. Now, for the next engine, we actually have to drive it. So let's drive this thing and I'll highlight to you guys why it's being ranked in the tier I'm ranking it. Now, for the last bit, this engine right now, the B58, can be ranked in A tier or it can be ranked in B tier. And I think that leaves one last engine for you guys to guess what we're ranking today. So let's start this thing up. Reliable as always, and I'll just drive the car. I'll put the microphone on the back. You guys can hear what this thing sounds like for a few seconds. And there we have it. That's what this car sounds like. Nothing too crazy, but you would have noticed it's got a nice, refined, deep tone to it, which is pretty good. Now, why is the B58 in the tier that I've put it in? Now, what's this engine renowned for? A downpipe and a tune. That's what everybody knows the B58 for. Pure power out of the box, the easy power making machine. But all that power, it comes at a cost, and it follows in the same footsteps, unfortunately, as the S58, and that is the plastic parts that this car comes with. And here's the thing, I love the car, I adore the engine, but I have had to do a lot of work to get this thing in a state where I want it to be, and the engine is no exception for that. Now, of course, one other thing that slightly lets this car down for me is the sound the engine makes. As you would have heard on that small drive-by, it's very muted, it's very refined. And if we come to the back of the car, I would have mentioned in previous videos that we are doing something with this exhaust system. This exhaust system is temporary. As you can see at the moment, we've got a stock back box on it. Why is this? Well, it's for track use. Like I've mentioned before, in the UK, we have really strict track noise limits, so I have to abide by them. And there are loads of ways to make this car sound really good. Now, with everything we've talked about with this M240i, but in case the engine, the B58, we're going to be ranking this in B tier. Now, I know this is going to trigger all the B58 fanboys because I should have put it in A or S tier, but that's just not the case. And I'm definitely expecting all the comments for when we talk about the next engine to be absolutely furious with me because I'm hating on the B58. For the final time, I'm not. I love the engine, I'm just realistic with it. Now that moves us on nicely to A tier. What engine are we putting into A tier? And this is probably really going to throw you guys off, but there's only one engine that I've driven next. And we've got two more tiers to actually talk about, S tier and A tier. So if you guys know where I'm heading at, leave a comment now and see if you're right in just a few minutes. Now moving on swiftly to A tier, we're going to be putting in the electronic wastegate N55. Now there is a big reason why I mentioned the electronic wastegate N55 and not the pneumatic wastegate. Well, for one, the pneumatic wastegate one, lots of issues. The electronic wastegate, which I had in my M235i, I found to be amazing. So let's talk about it. We'll start off with a few pros, a few cons. Pro, the sound. We all know the N55, one of the best sounding turbocharged inline sixes that BMW have ever made. But that pro does come with a negative, and the negative for me was the oil starvation issue or the general rod bearing issue that those cars suffered with. Now given, the electronic wastegate N55 was a step up from the previous version, but like I've mentioned on the channel before, I like to do some track use. I now don't have to worry about that issue with the B58 I've got right now, but that was something that did linger in the back of my mind when I had the M235i. But the reason that engine is in A tier for me was the rawness. This car, it's amazing, it produces incredible power, but the N55 that I had in my old 2 Series seemed a lot more raw. It acted like a naturally aspirated car. It loved being at redline, the power wave was good. It was just all round a really good driver's car. Now I have probably confused a lot of you now when we're going to talk about S tier. What engine am I putting in S tier? Because I haven't driven any V8s, I haven't driven any V10s, unfortunately, maybe someday in the future. So what engine could I possibly be rating in S tier on this list today? Now can we get a drum roll please for the next engine that I'm going to be rating into A tier? And unfortunately it's not the B58 because we already know where that one is. The engine that I'm putting in S tier that I've personally driven is the N55. Now this no doubt has probably confused quite a few of you. Why have I put the N55 in S tier and A tier? We're not just talking about any N55 though. We're not talking about the pneumatic one found in the M135i. We're talking about the N55 that's found in the F87 M2. Now, as some people like to call it, the OG M2 N55, the best N55 I have ever driven in any car, period. Now, I'm showing you guys the M240i in front of me, but you've got to envision this being an OG M2. So imagine this is an OG M2. This OG M2 actually has the benefit of the M Performance back box. That might make me a little bit biased into why I chose it. But there are bigger reasons to why I put that engine in S tier. Now, of course, we can scrap the sound for this one because they're very similar sounding, if not identical. The reason I've put the OG M2 N55 in S tier is purely because it's basically the B58 version of the N55. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, we've all talked about the N55's oil starvation and its rod bearing issues. I was actually doing some work on an OG M2 the other day, and the amount of upgraded parts that BMW have put into that engine bay with oil coolers, different oil pipes, loads of reinforcements regarding everything on the engine. It's basically the N55 put on steroids and made stronger, which is why I'm ranking it where it is. Because to me, the N55 is so raw and so good sounding, then BMW went and made it like 5 to 10 times better. That's why it's in S tier for me. Now I know this is going to trigger quite a few people, but it's me being realistic, and it's nothing against the engine in this car, and it's nothing to do with the fact that I'm biased to the N55. I've treated both engines completely equally, and I like them both. And like I have mentioned before, that 400 horsepower, which is baseline to what the OG M2 could be, as well as this on a stage 1 map, is perfect for the UK roads. You don't really need any more horsepower, and I've talked about this a number of times on the channel. So back when I was mentioning to you guys that the S58 could make 600 horsepower just on a stage 1 map, really puts it into perspective that you don't really need crazy horsepower, which is why I'm ranking the upgraded N55 into S tier. That's probably not what you guys expected. So there we have it. I've driven 6 BMW engines and I've ranked them all. Was I completely off with where I ranked them, or did I rank them in a sensible and realistic order? So there we have it. I hope you guys liked the video as much as I enjoyed making it today. 6 different engines and 6 opinions of where I would rank them. If you guys think I made a mistake, leave it down below. I'd love to hear it. Or let me know in the comment section where you would rank the engines today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video with the B58. Bye for now.